Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be mapping out all of our major indexes between the Bitcoin total market cap, the altcoin total market cap, as well as all of DeFi, so that we know exactly where all of the different markets are headed over the next few weeks. During corrective phases, many of the altcoins are going to go in their own different ways. Most of them are going to follow Bitcoin, but it's important to understand which cryptos are going to be the best to dollar cost average into, which indices are holding better support, because that's going to give you guys the best idea as where the money is flowing. People that understand these basic principles are going to set themselves up to make the most money when the next breakout happens. So for today's video, I'm going to break it down exactly how I'm doing it moving forward from here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, now here we are to take a look at Bitcoin's price, and I think that this is going to be the easiest way to kind of map out where I think that the markets are going to be headed, how I think the markets are going to accumulate from here, and what to be expected moving forward. Now first off, we're going to start out with Bitcoin, then we're going to move into the altcoin total market cap, then we're going to be looking at the total market cap of DeFi, because if Bitcoin's in a corrective sequence, it's important to understand how it's going to either positively or negatively impact the rest of the markets out there. And through these other indices, they're going to tell you where the most buy support is and which cryptos to focus your bets on. Now, first things first, guys, what we've been talking about for quite a while at this point has been our Elliott wave count, and I still think that this is the very best way for the average person to see how the markets are going to go from here. There's going to be people that hate on Elliott wave theory, but Elliott wave theory is just a basic principle for charting. It's been around forever. There's plenty of proof to support the fact that it is valuable and it works. And then you can actually prove it's valuable and it works through math. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to disprove this stuff. And what I love about crypto is because it's so volatile, because there's so much emotion inside of this market, you get very clear Elliott wave structure. Now, inside of Elliott wave theory rules, you have 3 impulse waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Followed by a corrective sequence back down. We can see that Bitcoin up to this point has followed one of the more clear and easy to identify Elliott wave impulses that we've seen coming into a new bull cycle. And where we're at today, based off of this, is we've just entered inside of this wave A, right? And so I think that a lot of people are going to end up buying into this next B wave that most likely is going to be taking us into a bounce fairly soon. And I see a lot of people FOMO buying into this, assuming that we're about to make another massive move. And those people are going to end up getting left behind because then the market's going to end up correcting even further. And so the way I see all of this entire sell-off that we've been in, although we could go a little bit lower, it's kind of hard to say. We're right on the area that I would expect a bounce. But if we see a bounce right where we're at, it would be a B wave like this one right here, but then we still have one more final C wave to come. And so that's why I think that, you know, the best thing we can do is simply look to be holding a little bit of cash, look to be waiting and compounding some of those profits that we made to the upside by buying the corrective move that follows. Because a lot of people, once the market bounces and we start going back up to the wave 3 highs, I think a lot of people are going to end up buying into here. They're going to see a lot of markets that are starting to bounce a lot, see some of them up 10, 20%, maybe even more than that, and they're going to assume that the next leg up is upon us. They think that, well, we hit this support level that we've been bouncing on. They'll probably be drawing at something like this, and then they'll think that we're just going to massively go in for this one final move. Although I do believe that this is just going to end up being a short-term bull trap before we get our one more final corrective move back down. And through Fibonacci, this will give us an idea of where we're headed. You know, inside of this sell-off, quite a few altcoins themselves have actually come all the way back down and retested the 618, whereas Bitcoin is still sitting at the 382. And so I think that the altcoins themselves, you know, are probably going to get a decent-sized bounce whenever Bitcoin does. My guess is it's going to be fairly soon off of around this wave 4 support level. And then after this move, that's when we're going to see the real correction come in. And you want to have the majority of your cash prepared for that final correction. Because if Bitcoin goes to the 618, altcoins are going to go up down significantly more. And they're going to give a better opportunity for entry and jumping back into that market. Because we can look at this a couple different ways, but when we look at our Elliott wave count, in my opinion, it's very much following according to plan. Everything that I've been watching for, it's pretty much happened. And so now the final thing that I'm watching for up to this point is to finish out this corrective move. I think that we will see a bounce, but that bounce will ultimately get stuffed before we fall to one more final low, and that final low is really where you want to jump into positions. I have accumulated a little bit, some altcoins that dropped to the 618 level that I was watching for, and so if you guys do want to actually see what I'm buying right now, it's only a small amount of things, but there are certain things that have hit my buy orders, and so if you guys do want to see what I'm buying, links are in the description. Go ahead and sign up for my website. Now with that being said, guys, if we come out here, we can look at a couple different things. Now let's go out to the monthly time frame and let's just simply look at where our support levels are. Now on the monthly time frame, we rallied back up into the resistance of our August highs. Now we're starting to see a sell-off from that point. Now if it's me, I personally believe that this is just going to continue to see more downside. You know, even if we see a bounce somewhere in here, I don't think that it really matters. We know that we're expecting a deeper correction. So we need to analyze where our support levels are. And in my opinion, our support level down in here is going to be taking us to about the low 19,000s. That's really the support level that I foresee us having, really first and foremost. When we take a look at the monthly time frame, this is the level that I think is the most fit. And you could even draw one up above a little bit. I'd say there's really three levels, 20,000 and a half, 19,300, and then there is the potential of a low 18,000 as well. And if we come into the weekly, we'll see how that stacks up. To me, it still follows along pretty accordingly, although for me, I wouldn't be watching this top level as much. I'd be watching these two bottom ones between 19.3, and if we really got a strong sell-off, it's hard to say exactly, but if we bounce, then we get a really strong sell-off that could take us all the way back down to basically the low end of these range lows that we consolidated at. It wouldn't be unsurprising by any means, although it would be a much deeper correction. And so for me, this is really where I'm personally focused on when it comes time to accumulate this dip. I'd say the first one being about the low 19,000s is really where I want to put my focus, because that's going to be taking us to the 618 Fibonacci, almost exactly to that level. And I think that that's just the most important level to fill. It is very possible that we could come all the way back down and retest, you know, the range lows that we consolidated at leading into the FTX collapse, even the resistance level throughout our consolidation leading to our most recent breakout. I think that that's going to be the important level that we need to be paying attention for. And the big thing that I want you guys to remember is the fact that, you know, whenever we see this bounce, if we run all the way back up to the range highs, try not to get too excited. Try not to get too over ahead of yourself, thinking that we're about to be breaking out. Some altcoins are going to bounce pretty heavy when that happens, but for the most part, people that end up buying inside of this move, in my opinion, are going to end up getting left behind as we make our final capitulation back down to this level. And this is kind of how I'm expecting that the market's going to look. Something along the lines of this will probably build somewhat of a foundation of support around this level, rally back up into the range highs. Once we reject off of those, then that's when we're going to start a clear impulse back down to around the 618 level. So I'd say anywhere from about really 19.2 is my target for the most part. That's going to be taking us perfectly to the 618, and that's kind of where I'm focusing the majority of my buy pressure. Now we can look at a couple different charts. Down here is the total market cap of crypto, and this is an important chart to watch because this one itself really shows and follows along the lines of what I think is going to end up happening with Bitcoin. You know, overall I do expect that we're about to see a bounce, if not already, and then this bounce is going to be taking us back into contact with the top of our wave 3. And if you guys notice here, when we make that next move, wherever the top of this ends up taking us, it could just be the top of wave 3. I don't know exactly. But it's also going to be after we broke down from our main trend line. And in my opinion, the bounce will be us actually rejecting off of this main trend line. And then that'll be kind of where we start the descent going back down lower. And it'll be something along the lines of this. To me, it'll be a bearish retest. And then we'll come all the way back down to, once again, this same level. We're just going to be watching for this 618. I think that that's the most important thing that we can watch for. And the 618 on the total market cap is, in my opinion, really where we're going to start to see the markets bottoming. Because the 618 takes us to basically the range low of this entire consolidation that we were at throughout the entirety leading into the FTX collapse. And so I do believe that, for me, the most clear signal that we're going to get is through the total market cap chart and Bitcoin. Once Bitcoin starts to come down around the 618, But I would say most importantly, once this total market cap chart starts to come down around its 618, that's the point where you really want to be buying, because the altcoins are going to dip harder than Bitcoin. But once Bitcoin gets into the golden pocket, the area that you would genuinely want to be putting your position in, that's the point where I think that altcoins are going to bottom wherever they at. I mean, altcoins could go all the way down to the 786, all the way down to the 88.3. And if that ends up happening, you don't want to be focused too much on where the altcoin prices are. You want to be more focused on where Bitcoin's prices are, and along with the total market cap. If we come over here and look at the total altcoin market cap, we can see that this thing didn't really impulse as high. We got stuffed fairly short of our range highs in August. But nonetheless, it doesn't really change anything. The only difference here is it gets parabolic. Bitcoin outperformed, which is to be expected. I mean, if we look down in here, we did see the same 5 impulse waves off of the support floor. In my opinion, we're still going to end up seeing another ABC type of move. But the problem with this chart is the fact that it could go a little bit lower. Our 618 Fibonacci is going to be taking us to right here at the very low point of our consolidation leading into the FTX collapse. And in my opinion, that's still where I'm going to be targeting, but I really wouldn't be surprised to see this thing go all the way back down to the 786 and maybe even the 88.3. It's kind of hard to say exactly. If Bitcoin makes a strong flush all the way back down to these range lows at, a little over 18,000, then we very easily could be seeing altcoins at the 786 to the 88.3. It'd be a big drop, but it really wouldn't change anything, because we still know, no matter what, that however low altcoins go, as long as they maintain support and make a higher high, which I think is very likely at this point, wherever they end up bottoming out, I think is not the most important aspect. It's really where Bitcoin bottoms, because wherever Bitcoin bottoms, whenever I would say it hits the 78 or the 618 retrace, that's the point where I believe that these altcoins are going to bottom. And so if Bitcoin's sitting at the 618, chances are altcoins are going to be lower than that, and that's just my personal guess. That's just the way that markets have generally played out up to this point. And so if that's the case, altcoins are going to be setting up for a big buy the dip scenario, where they could be sitting, pretty close to those range lows that we were at just, a few months ago, leading into this breakout that everybody thought that they got left behind at. And that's kind of why I've made it a big point across my YouTube videos, is to give you guys opportunities to look to compound those gains, understand when to get out, because of the fact, if we come all the way back down and retest near the range lows, a lot of altcoins are going to be back at those range low positions that you can jump back in. Maybe you missed out on a run of a certain altcoin and it took off in a big way. I'm watching a lot of altcoins that are coming back down to pretty low levels that I was going to originally buy them at right before they took off. And so to see all of the altcoins already retracing so far, and we're most likely only inside of this wave A, if we get a deeper correction into a wave B, or what I should say, a wave C, all the way back down to the range lows, there's going to be a huge opportunity inside of the altcoin markets to be able to buy that dip. Like I stated, I would focus my sights on what Bitcoin's doing when it hits the 618, and also when the total market cap hits the 618, because that's going to be the point to enter back into altcoins. Because altcoins didn't pump as high on the way up. My guess is they'll fall pretty hard on the way back down. But I mean, we've got a very strong support level. I think that it's going to hold for the most part. Wherever that ends up taking us, it could be right here at about 500 billion. It could be all the way back down here at about 475 billion. It doesn't matter so much for me, because I think regardless, there's opportunity to be found. Now, inside of DeFi, this one actually held better support. It followed much more accordingly with the total market cap chart. We can see that as we rallied all the way up near to the range highs of August, we can see that the total market cap of DeFi did the exact same thing. So in my opinion, what this tells us is that there's still a lot of money inside of the DeFi markets. Whereas the total altcoin market cap kind of lagged, didn't do as much. We're actually seeing, DeFi itself picking up perfect pace alongside with Bitcoin. And so I think that that's a very bullish sign, and it tells me that a DeFi should be a focus in everybody's portfolio. And I think that that should be the focus anyways. Not all of it in DeFi by any means, but I think a good chunk should be focused in on DeFi protocols. How different investments that can earn you yield, earn other people yield, institutions are watching these, whatever it is, there's going to be a lot of opportunity inside of the DeFi markets going into this next cycle. And I think that thus far, seeing how well this has actually held up across the board, outperforming altcoin market cap and pretty much picking right up there with Bitcoin in the total market cap, I think that that tells me that there's still plenty of money following into these altcoins. And I've seen that in my personal portfolio. DeFi picks that I've been investing in, they've actually performed some of the better inside of my portfolio. And I'm seeing that a lot, especially through Arbitrum. If you're into Arbitrum at all like I am, I've been talking about it a lot, you're seeing a lot of DeFi kind of focusing in on Arbitrum's ecosystem. All of the DeFi builders are moving over that way, and that's really where all of the Deegans are playing around with money on that network as well. And so, regardless, I still think that we're due for a bounce in here. But once again, guys, that bounce is just going to be taking us back down into an area like this. And if we look at this based off of the way the rest of the charts are going to look, I would say that because it's followed the total market cap up to this point and Bitcoin, most likely it's going to continue to follow it. And so I would just be targeting once again around a 618. But this thing could peak back down and go right around that 786. Anywhere from the 618 to the 786, and I'm going to say that really across the board. For me, Bitcoin will hit the 618 and bottom somewhere right around here. It could go above the 786, but I think for the most part, it's going to bottom somewhere in between this support range, right? Oops. I think that it's going to bottom somewhere in between this support range right here. That's my personal belief. That's how I'm going to be buying. Now, total market cap is going to follow the exact same thing. Altcoins are probably going to go back down lower. That would be my guess. But with the total market cap of DeFi, I think that it's going to end up bottoming pretty much at the same time Bitcoin does as well, which most likely because it followed Bitcoin in the total market cap on the upside, it had one of the bigger impulses. Most likely it's not going to correct as bad, or at least it'll hold better support. And if we look at this chart, we have very clear levels. I would argue maybe even more clear than the other two charts. And it's because the 618 pretty much lines up perfectly with all of our support and resistance levels. This was the June low here. We bounced off of this level. We came back down in September to retest this level a couple times. The FTX collapse happened. That same level became resistance, all throughout here. And then once we actually flipped it, in my opinion, that's where we're going to come back down to once again during this corrective move. So it could go all the way back down in here, pretty much on top of the 786, or it could bottom right here at the 618. I don't think it matters. When you start to see the market come down into that range, I think that the best thing that we can do is just simply buy. The big thing that we need to remember here is just mainly what Bitcoin is doing. Because if Bitcoin is sitting here at the 382, that tells me that it's still, pretty much overbought than anything. And so I do expect we're going to see a short-term bounce. That bounce will take us back up to the range highs that we were at in wave 3, and then that's going to take us to our final spill in this cycle. And so I just want you guys to be aware of that. I probably wouldn't get too excited trying to accumulate a bunch right in this period. I know a lot of people are setting themselves up to get chopped out over the next month or so. That's honestly my personal belief, is that over the next 25 to 30 days, we see a lot of type of price action that chops people out. People assume that we're about to make the next big leg up into this cycle upwards of 30K. And then we end up getting the opposite of that, where we make our final flush back down to the 618. So huge opportunity nonetheless. Altcoins and everything are pretty much following each other, but you want to be prepared for that 618 retest, because that's the point where you want to be going into altcoins. But if you're seeing altcoins dropping really low and they're already hitting their 618 levels, I don't think you can really go wrong by putting at least some positions in at the short term. Because if we bounce throughout this period, altcoins are going to bounce with it. There's going to be profit to be made for the people that end up buying down here before the bounce. And so, if something's hitting your buy order that you had set, you've been watching the Fibonacci levels, and an altcoin's hitting it, even though you're still expecting one more sell-off. For me, I am buying some stuff right now. Even if we get that final sell-off like I'm expecting, I'll just simply buy more. And that's kind of the way that you guys have to play it yourself. At the end of the day, I can't trade for you. I can only simply tell you guys what I'm doing. And I'm buying a little bit right now, waiting for that final dip where I'm going to actually unload all of what I've got, go back into crypto heavy, waiting for that next move up. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook. Links are in the description. For anybody that would also simply like to follow my trades, you guys want to know what I'm buying, what I've already put some positions in today. I woke up and bought a few things. If you guys want to know how I'm trading this market, where my buy orders are set, which altcoins I've got buy orders for, what ones are part of my long-term investments, all of that stuff's going to get taught to you guys inside of my Discord, so you can sign up through my website. I look forward to seeing you guys in there. We've had a lot of new sign-ups lately, and so for anybody that just recently signed up, thank you so much. For anybody that's looking to sign up, now is an opportunity to do so, because of the fact, if you're looking at this big dip and you're wondering what the heck I'm doing with my money, the best time to be getting in and knowing what I'm doing with my money is during the sell-off, because that's when I'm actually placing buy orders. I'm actually looking to accumulate. So if you guys want to know, links are in the description. Thank you all so much for the support. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.